Well, welcome everybody. It is great to have you here. So today we are doing our deep dive into creativity and critical thinking. This is our theme for last week and this week. I want to welcome my subscribers and listeners to my YouTube channel, The Courage to Teach Differently. We are excited to get into the topic for today. So, how curiosity evolves through visible thinking and guided reflection, right? We're going to talk about how we get from questions to confidence. Children really never stop asking questions, do they? Their questions evolve as they practice thinking aloud, comparing ideas, and exploring new perspectives. For example, right, a 6-year-old might ask, why do clouds move? Whereas a 10-year-old might say, how do planes stay in the air? A teenager might ask, why do some people get more chances than others, beginning to see the world in a different way? And by 17 or young adult, what difference can I make? This natural progression shows us something profound, right? When teachers create time and trust for curiosity to grow, students develop the capacity to think more deeply, question more thoughtfully, and understand more completely. This is definitely something that is backed by research. So we want to be supporting our students and giving them opportunities to practice critical thinking and allowing them to ask questions. I think sometimes teachers feel like questions can be an interruption, whereas they really are the heart of learning. So in Finnish-inspired classrooms, thinking is not taught. It's as a separate skill. It's practiced across subjects. Teachers guide discovery rather than direct it or control it, engaging students to reason through challenges together. So, for example, thinking forms part of every lesson, right? Rather than isolating critical thinking in a separate skill, it's just built right in. So for those teachers who are feeling like, oh, great, one more thing I have to focus on, it's not really. It's not an extra work for you. It's built right into your lesson. You can just take what you already have and just adapt it. Teachers can guide rather than control. So the role shifts from delivering answers to facilitating discovery, creating space for students to reason through problems together. And it's through dialogue, right? Not just a student asks a question, raise their hand, says, teacher, the teacher answers, end of story, right? This is an opportunity for teachers to delve into small group dialogue, large group dialogue, peer interactions. Thinking develops through repetition, reflection, and meaningful dialogue, not through tests and isolated lessons. This approach recognizes that confidence in thinking emerges gradually through consistent practice in environments where curiosity is valued and mistakes are seen as stepping stones to understanding as opposed to problems. Let's look at some of the research from around the world that supports this approach. So, of course, our Finnish National Core Curriculum emphasizes learning to learn. That's what critical thinking is, 21st century skills, helping students understand how their mind works so they can think independently. But then we also have our Harvard Project Zero, which is led by Dr. Ron Richert and Dr. David Perkins. They found that when students make their thinking visible through drawing, discussion, or reflection, understanding deepens and confidence expands. And then our last research source is the OECD Learning Compass 2019, where it identifies curiosity and reflection as key global competencies for navigating complexity and uncertainty. This goes into our future thinking, right? We don't know what's ahead for our students, but we can teach them how to prepare. Together, these frameworks remind us that confidence develops through practice and critical thinking flourishes when curiosity is trusted. Visible thinking grows with learners. So how does visible thinking look in real classrooms? We're going to explore 4 powerful routines that help students develop critical thinking skills step by step, from early curiosity to reflective confidence. Each one meets learners where they are developmentally, guiding them to think critically, question deeply, and reflect meaningfully. So let's start with grade 1 and 2. This one we call Think, Puzzle, and Explore. Here we're building curiosity and confidence through guided inquiry. At this stage, curiosity is limitless, right? At this age, you're always asking why or how, or they don't understand, right? So it's limitless and unfiltered. Think, Puzzle, Explore gives structure to wonder without constraining it. This routine creates a safe space for emerging thinkers to voice their ideas and questions. What do you think you know? Right? This can be our beginning question. Students share initial thoughts and activate prior knowledge. And number 2, what puzzles you? Learners are identifying gaps and genuine curiosities here. And then number 3, how can we explore it together? So the class can plan collaborative investigation. Thinking becomes a shared journey rather than a race to answers. Students learn that wondering is valued, that questions matter as much as answers, and that learning happens through collective inquiry. Let's move on to grades 3 to 5. This one is called Compass Points. North, south, east, west is our compass. We've sort of rebranded them. For upper primary, they are more interested in analyzing ideas deliberately, kind of more consciously. So this helps them to pause before acting and consider multiple angles. It's kind of where we're going. They reflect on what excites them, what worries them, what they need to know, and what steps to take next. So we have N, what we need to know, E, what excites them, W, what worries them, what concerns them, what challenges they might think they'll face. And then S, steps forward. What actions should we take? What comes next? This routine transforms impulsive curiosity into thoughtful decision-making, nourishing both reasoning and emotional intelligence. All right, moving on to grades 6 to 9. This one is great because it's called Tug of War. Everybody's familiar with this game, right? Here, this age group, these teenagers, they're actively seeking fairness, meaning, and authenticity, right? This is where teenagers want to see everybody treated equally, but they don't really understand that concept. What exactly does equally mean? So we present a provocative statement and invite students to place themselves physically or virtually along a spectrum from agree to disagree. So where do you fit in that spectrum? The magic happens next. They share their reasoning. So this is where they have to justify their choices, listening actively to opposing views and remaining open to reconsidering their position. So maybe they'll change their mind and go from agree to disagree or vice versa. It's more about dialogue. The goal isn't winning, but listening and understanding, right? It's evidence-based reasoning. Students support their claims with examples. It's intellectual humility, right? They're changing one's mind shows growth, not weakness. And then the last one is empathy building, right? It's taking a moment to listen to somebody who disagrees with you and then hearing their why and being willing to accept diverse understandings of the situation. So this routine builds critical thinking and empathy simultaneously, showing students that complexity requires careful thought and that not everybody is going to end up thinking the same thing or understanding. the same concepts in the same way. Moving on to grades 10 to 12, the creative circle. Here we have older students, they think more abstractly and reflectively. So the creative circle invites them to analyze their own choices after completing a project or working on a collaboration, large or small groups. They can ask, what choice did I make? So reflection here, self-reflection. What inspired it? So why did I choose it? And what will I try next? So if it worked, great. How can we make it even better? Or if it didn't work, what can I change or improve? Reflection turns into leadership and action. Students take ownership of their growth, recognizing that expertise comes from intention, not perfection. Every question a learner asks marks progress. This is important. It is not in content that we're talking about, but in thought. So when thinking becomes visible, students recognize their own progress. Their questions grow more sophisticated, their reasoning more nuanced, and their confidence more grounded in understanding. Last week, we talked a lot about being able to think critically about what they see in the media or on social media, right? TV or whatever. And we want them to be able to discern, is this something worth watching? Is it not? But without that practice, without having that challenge to think deeply about something, they're not going to be able to do that. Teaching thinking isn't adding more content. Again, this isn't more work for you guys as teachers. It's creating a culture where curiosity leads and confidence follows, taking those few extra moments to consider the questions that the students have, allowing them to think and share their thoughts, rather than teachers being the control of the ideas in the classroom. The students are allowed to share their ideas and be part of the learning process, so that when thinking becomes visible, learning becomes empowering. Right? They begin to believe that their voice matters. So how do we build classroom cultures where thinking thrives? Step one, start small. You don't need to overhaul everything at once, right? Choose one routine, use it consistently, I would say for at least 3 weeks before you give up on it, and observe the shifts in students' engagement and questioning. See if they begin to realize, oh, the teacher really wants to know what I'm thinking. Second, trust the process. So visible thinking routines may feel uncomfortable at first, right? When students are allowed to share their thoughts, they might struggle to articulate that for the first few times when they're given an opportunity. And it can be difficult also for teachers to allow that silence, to allow that struggle for the students to work through. The discomfort signals growth, so stick with it. Third, celebrate progress. Notice and name when students ask better questions, challenge their own assumptions, or thoughtfully reconsider their positions. This is growth, right? There is no right or wrong in these discussions. It's more about growing and understanding better from another person's perspective, or deepening their own understanding. Teaching thinking isn't about adding new lessons. It's about creating space where curiosity is honored and every learner's intellectual journey matters. Okay, so let's look here at our thinking routine for this week. Let's see if you can try 1, 2, or 3 of these ideas. Choose one routine. Select the routine from the ones I suggested that best matches your student's developmental stage and current learning goals. Watch how the students' questions change as their thinking becomes more visible and valued. And reflect together. Invite students to notice their own thinking patterns and celebrate their growth. So this can be done through circle integration, through small groups, through self-assessment, or even peer assessment. In our store here at Rekla, we have a creative thinking bundle available for all grade levels. So you can go and find classroom-ready materials detailing facilitation guides and adaptable templates for all 4 thinking routines, plus bonus activities for immediate implementation. Our next theme that we will start next Sunday will be collaboration and communication, turning ideas into action. So we will start with our opening broad sort of general concept on Sunday, and then the week after we will do our deep dive. So join me next week as we explore how visible thinking naturally evolves into powerful collaboration. We'll examine how students move from individual reflection to collective intelligence, transforming thoughts into meaningful actions that impact their communities. All right, so go ahead, make sure that you guys like and subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on our next theme and its deep dive. Very good. Thanks for listening. I hope to see you next week. Have a wonderful school week.